Ever since the field of Afrocentrism, or African-centered studies, gained academic prominence, Afrocentric scholars and traditional Eurocentric academia have fiercely debated multiple topics, ranging from the ethnic diversity of classical Europe to the exact skin color of the ancient Egyptians. In this video, I'm going to step into this debate. However, I won't be taking the side of Eurocentric academia, nor African-centered academia. Instead, I will be quoting medieval Islamic historians such as Al-Biruni, Al-Masudi, al-Andalusi, and several others. These scholars traveled across vast lands, catalogued empires, and recorded exactly what they witnessed based on the scientific climb theory of their day. Therefore, their observations give us a fascinating third-party perspective outside of modern Western racial politics. Anyway, enough yammering. Let's get started. In his 9th century book, The Boasts of the Blacks Over the Whites, the Afro-Arab scholar Al-Jahiz gives us the color gradients of the Near East and East Africa. He groups the Arabs as belonging to the dark-complexioned peoples, describing them across a gradient of black, deep brown, Adam, and tawny, Asmar. He then describes the Cushites and the Ethiopians, Habasha, as possessing a rich, smooth, natural dark brown to black complexion. Moving into the 10th century, in his massive historical work, The Meadows of Gold and Mines of Gems, Al-Masudi tracks biblical and regional lineages. He describes the Jews as possessing an intermediate, olive-brown skin tone. He notes the Egyptians as having a distinct sun-baked, copper-brown to dark tawny complexion. When looking north, he states that the far northern Europeans are so extremely white from the cold and damp mist that they almost appear pale blue. Conversely, he describes the Persians as possessing a fair, luminous, and golden white complexion, balanced perfectly in the temperate zone. When looking at the Eurasian steppes, 10th century geographers like Al-Istaqri described the powerful Khazar Khaganate as being divided into two distinct groups: the white Khazars, who are fair-skinned with striking features, and the black Khazars, who are deeply dark and swarthy. In the 11th century, the Andalusian judge Sayyid al-Andalusi wrote Tabaqat al-Umam, the categories of nations. He describes the Greeks and the Byzantine Romans as a clear white infused with redness. Crucially, he notes that because they live in a temperate climate, they possess a healthy complexion, avoiding the bloodless, ghostly paleness found in the extreme populations of northern Europe. Heading east, the brilliant 11th century polymath Al-Biruni describes the Indian subcontinent in his definitive work, Kitab al-Hind. He notes a striking geographic gradient. The northern peoples of India lean toward a light tawny tone, while the southern peninsular populations toward the sea possess a deep black skin color, similar to inner Africans, though they have distinct facial features and a different lineage from inner Africans. In the 14th century, the famous sociologist Ibn Khaldun wrote in his masterpiece, the Muqaddimah, about the indigenous peoples of North Africa. He described the northern Berbers as predominantly fair to medium-brown olive-skinned, while noting that the southern Berbers, who lived deep in the Saharan deserts, took on a much darker complexion. Finally, in his 14th century geography Nukhbat al-Dahr, Al-Dimashqi describes the far eastern lands of the Chinese. He writes that they possess a distinct flat-featured countenance with small eyes, and describes their skin color as a bright, pale yellow or wheaten hue.